Morning guys, the last workout is out. 19.5, as we pretty much predicted, is a Fran wrap or a Fran variation. So we've got 33, 27, 21, 15, 9 thrusters and chest to bar pull-ups. Guys that did the open last year, 18.5 was the 7-minute AMRAP ascending reps. That's going to give you a good idea, a good barometer as to what you're sort of aiming for a score here. So if you manage to get 150 reps maybe done there, 140 reps done there, then you're going to be looking at something in and around the 9 to 10 minute score here. If you got lower than that, then it's going to take you longer. If you got higher than that, then it's going to take you a little bit less. That's just as a guideline, and I'll come back to that in a minute when we start talking about the strategy side of things. The big things that I've got to remember here, it's 105 reps of each movement. Now Fran is 45 of each movement. This is 105 of each movement. That's a lot different. That's 2 1/3 Frans basically. Think of it like Murph. So if you've done Murph in the past, how did you find the pull-up section? How did you break up those 100 pull-ups? If you found that most people were doing that in a Cindy sort of style, sets of 5, if you were doing them in sets of 10, then that's how I would look to approach this, is similar sort of chunks. You're not going to want to try and take a big massive chunk out front and then your grip go, or you start fatiguing in that movement. When we break it down, just look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats in this workout. Well, strengths, this is dependent on you. If you are good at a movement, then I'd say to look to break that movement down into 2 or 3 sets, certainly in the earlier stages of the workout. Look at Matt Fraser doing it last night. He broke up all of the sets into 2 sets. He didn't do anything unbroken until the 9s. And he's the fittest man in the world, probably already set the best time in the world, or certainly won't be far off. You're going to have to be very good to only break once in some of these movements. My suggestion, even if you are good at these movements, is to break them into 3 sets and just back yourself, basically be confident and take shorter rest between those sets. Be smooth, be controlled, and yeah, like I said, be confident. So if you're good at that movement, take confidence in that break because you want to, not because you have to. Weaknesses. So if you're bad at movement, if one of these movements or both of these movements aren't great for you, then you want to break them down into short sets, but you want to try and avoid singles as much as possible. Certainly on the thrusters, but even on those chest to bars, if you're breaking those down into even what you would consider to be fast singles, you're going to be losing a lot of time and a lot of energy jumping up to that bar. You want to conserve energy, you want to be as efficient as possible. If thrusters are an issue for you, really get that front rack warm, really work on that positioning, try and get your elbows as high as you can, try and keep your torso as upright as possible, and just use your legs as much as you can. You want to save that upper body on those thrusters. Opportunities. Where can you make up time? Transitions. You want to set your bar up nice and close to your pull-up bar. I know it's going to be a relatively long workout, but you don't want to be wasting time traveling back and forth between the two. The way you want to lay your kit out. So if you're using chalk, you're going to be using chalk. Get a box, get it up at chest level so you're straight in. You haven't got to bend over. You're not losing time going down on your knees trying to get chalk or whatever and giving yourself an excuse. If we talked about like with weaknesses with our thrusters, then maybe wearing lifters might help with our positioning. It's not going to hurt on your chest to bars, so I would suggest probably wearing lifters for most people is going to be a benefit in this. Same thing with knee sleeves. Grips. If you do use grips normally, definitely use them. The last thing you want to be doing is tearing early on in this workout or towards the end of this workout and stopping you potentially repeating if you did want to do that. Big thing I put here for the opportunity is to win the second half. This is a long workout, okay? You're going to be, once you've finished the 27s, you're looking at around about between 5 and 6 minutes into this workout. You've done 6 minutes of work. You're well over halfway. This is where you're going to start accelerating. You want to start going faster rather than slowing down because you've gone out too hard too early. And that's a big opportunity to catch up with people that haven't thought it through as well. Threats. Do not go out too hot. Same principle as this, just in reverse. If you go out and try and bust out 33 unbroken thrusters, then you're going to have a bad time. Doesn't matter how good you are. You want to try and stay conserved, be sensible, and don't redline too early. You want to certainly avoid ripping, like I said earlier as well. That's going to cost you potentially repeating, and certainly going to hurt you if you rip early on as well. So do what you need to do to help that from happening. I've given some ideas of rep ranges of how I would look to break these sets down. The green is for the guys that are particularly good at the movements. Black is for your better than average and average, and then your below average and the guys that struggle with the movements towards the bottom. I've only gone down as far as 3s, but obviously if it's your first time, you're just looking for your first chest to bars, you're not great at that movement at all, obviously breaking those down into singles is the way to go, but this is more for the guys that are looking to get through this workout under the time cap. So 33s, 18 and 15, I'm pretty sure that's what Fraser did it in last night. The approach that I would look to go is 12, 11, 10 or 9, 8, 8, 8. They would be, I'm flickering between the bottom green and the top black on all of these sets. 8, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, all 5s and 2 sets of 4, or 11 sets of 3 for the 33s. Now, just because you're breaking up the one movement into these rep schemes, it doesn't mean you need to break up the other. So you might be really good at thrusters and struggle on chest to bars, in which case you might want to do an 18 and a 15 on the thrusters, but break up your chest to bars into 11 sets of 3. That's absolutely fine, and that comes back to your strengths and your weaknesses. They are going to hurt each other in terms of doing too many thrusters out too early might not help you with your chest to bars if you're not great at chest to bars, but you need to make up time where you're strong. 27s, I got 15 and 12, 10, 9, 8. I do a lot of the descending set stuff. I like descending sets because mentally, once you've done 10, doing another 10 is going to be hard work, but doing 9 is just always that little bit more tempting. 7, 7, 7 and 6, 7 5s, 5s with a 4 and a 3, and then 3s. 21s, 11 and 10, 8, 7, 6, or 7, 6, 5, 3, or 6 and 3 5s, 5 and 4 4s, or 3s. And then when we get into the sprinty finish, you're looking at a 9 and a 6, a 6, a 5, a 4, 5, 4, 3, 3, or 3s. Obviously trying to avoid going 2s and 1s. And then 9s, I think Fraser went unbroken is the only set you went unbroken on with his 9s. You got a 5 and a 4. Toomey, I think, ended up going 5, 3, 1 because you couldn't handle that last one. So 3 3s, and again, trying to avoid those singles. So that's a good idea of how I would look to break up those sets. If you've got a good idea, or you know sort of what sort of bracket you're in, you've seen some scores of guys that are similar to you getting in and around a time, here's a good way of figuring out your pacing out front. So I'll just put it in the top in green here. If you were looking for a sub 10 minute score, then that's 600 seconds. 600 seconds is your 10 minutes. So you've got 210 reps to do in those 10 minutes. So there's 600 divided by 210, and that comes out at around about 2.8. Okay, so that's 2.8 seconds per rep. That gives you an idea. Now, Fraser, I think, got his first round done in just under 2 minutes. It was like a minute and 50 something. To go sub 10, you're looking at a 3:05 time for your 33s. So 3 minutes and 5, so about 90 seconds. You can take 30 seconds off Fraser's split there. That's quite a lot of time out front. And there's nothing wrong with splitting it up and breaking it up as much as you want, as long as you're thinking about in time. So rather than thinking about reps, you can give yourself time frames to get stuff done by. That's absolutely fine as well, if you've got a clear target of where you want to be. The 27s in 2:31, the 21s in 1:57, the 15s in 1:24, and 50 seconds for the 9s, and add that all together, and that would give you a score of like 9:48, 9:47, something like that. Okay, so it gives you an idea of how you're going to break it down. That's just an example, but if you've got an idea, if you want it to be 11 minutes, just add 60 and then divide by 210, and you've got a good idea of how you break that down to give yourself an idea of your score or how you're looking to pace it. 3 minutes, I bet a lot of you guys would have gone out there beforehand and done a faster than a 3 minute split and got a slower than a 10-minute time. So save yourself up front. It's not about how fast you get the 33s done. It's not 33 reps for time. It's 105. So break it up accordingly and be sensible going forward. As always, guys, any questions, just let us know, and good luck.